just want to say ranting, and I have a story to share. So today, 20th May 2026, marks exactly 9 years since I birthed my last child. She's 9 years today. And as I woke up at dawn and began to thank God for her life and the amazing gift that she has been to me, I couldn't help but recall the events leading up to her birth and the aftermath. And so at the time Ivania was born, I was living in a very terrible marriage. I was living in hell, actually. And I lived in the same house with my husband at the time, but for weeks on end, he would not talk to me. He would not tell me what I had done, to even give me the opportunity to apologize or to make things right. And it was just pure emotional and psychological torture. And I remember a few days before I delivered, I remember as I was preparing the 2 other kids for school, combing their hair, and I was so pained, and he was there in the bedroom with me, and I asked him, "What have I done to you? Why are you treating me so bad?" And as I asked him, tears were running down my face. And he just took one look at me and walked out the door. And so the day before I delivered, the 19th, I went to work. That day I was off work at Ridge, so I went to do locum at Supreme. I worked the whole day. I closed around 6. All kinds of scans going up and down. And when I closed, I passed by Kolebu engine department before going home because my due date was up. There was no sign of labor and I was really tired. And so there was conversation about whether or not to do a forced labor or induction for me. So I went to see my colleague, Professor Titus Bayo. I went to see him and he was like, "Okay, let me examine your cervix and let's see how it looks like. Maybe we can sweep the membrane so that you can start spontaneous labor, hopefully." So we did just that. He examined my cervix. "Oh, it's soft, so let me sweep it. Let me try and stretch it. Maybe by tomorrow you'll be in labor." I said, "Okay, why not?" So we did that. And then he spoke to another colleague who is also a mate of mine that Rosemond may go into labor in the night. So if she does, you're on duty, she'll call you and come in. So that was the arrangement. Then I went home. And when I went home, I didn't feel anything all through the night. At dawn, when I woke up, I saw a show. The show is a small mucus with a little tinge of blood you see. It's one of the earliest signs of labor. So I saw the show. And I knew that probably labor was going to start that day. So I took my bath. And then in the morning, I walked. We used to live at IB. Dansom and IB. So I walked all the way from IB to Banana Inn. I walked very slowly, leisurely, praying. Then I walked back home from Banana Inn to IB. When I got home, at the time my house of Gifty, amazing lady, she helped me so much those days. I called Gifty and I told her that, "Gifty, I need to go to the hospital." I wasn't feeling anything, but Titus had told me that I should come in the morning around 11, whether or not I felt something. So the night before, I had packed all my things for delivery into the car. So I said, "Gifty, I'm going to the hospital, let's go." So she sat in the car, and then I drove from my house to Kolebu. It's like maybe a 15-minute drive, 20 maximum. So when I got there, I think it was on the 3rd or 2nd floor, I don't remember which. I went in, Titus was there. Then I laid down, he examined me. And he said, nah, he calls me now. Now you are 5 cm dilated, so we are not going home. We are taking you to the labor ward. I said, okay, I came prepared. So I gave my house help money. I told her that to take a Trotsky and go home. I'm not going to go home with you today, so just go home. When I was leaving home, I didn't say anything to my husband. I mean, he had not been talking to me for weeks, so I just left. And then they made me change into my nightgown. They set a line for me, took my blood, all those things. And then when they were done, they were okay, we are going to the labor ward, bring her a wheelchair. And I said, me wheelchair, I'll walk. So I rejected the wheelchair. And then I walked to the labor ward. So Titus was with me, one or two nurses. And when we entered, I was on the phone talking when I entered the labor ward. And I remember there were 2 midwives at the entrance to receive me. And then one of them was like, labor, is she in labor? Because she's a doctor, they bought her, she just came, they bought her, she's not in labor, look at her, she's talking on the phone. I just looked at her and then I smiled. And then the other one took my details, everything. Then they gave me a room, a labor room. I asked for a room, a single room, so I was in there. My husband's best friend at the time, he was an anesthetist. He still is actually. He came to give me anesthesia, epidural. And then he was like, oh, does so and so know that you are here in the labor ward? I don't even remember what I told him. But then he said, okay, I'm going home to check on my wife and kids. I'll come back shortly to have lunch and then check on my wife and kids. I'll come back. I said, okay. And so he left. Titus also left, and then I was there by myself. Then, about 30 minutes after the epidural, I felt the urge to push. I said, hey, now me and you see an enemy by here. So I ignored the urge and I turned around and tried to sleep. Then a few minutes later, I felt the urge to push again. And so I called out to the midwife who had been assigned to me and I said, I know they just brought me, but I feel the urge to push. So can you kindly check to see how many centimeters dilated I am? And she said, sure, why not? She positioned me and then she did the vaginal exam. And she said, you are almost 10 cm dilated. Don't push, wait for me, I need to gather my things. Don't push. And then she quickly gathered the things that she needed for the delivery. And then when she was done, she said, I'm ready now. Now you can push. And I pushed once and I pushed twice. And my daughter was born. And as she laid on my belly, when they bring the baby up, they put her on your belly. I burst out crying and praising God. Why? Because I had had a very difficult pregnancy. I had gone through so much emotional and psychological torture in my marriage during that pregnancy. There were days I thought that I was not going to survive it. There were days I was so exhausted from pain. The only prayer I could pray was to put my hand on my belly and to tell God, God, have mercy on me and my unborn child. And I used to pray in Ghana, God, have mercy on me and my unborn child. And one of those days, I was 7 months pregnant then. I was lying on the floor in my hall at the time, and I was praying that prayer over and over again because I was gripped with so much fear. I feared for my life. I feared for the life of my unborn child. And as I prayed, I heard the Lord said to me, your delivery will be swift and easy. And immediately I heard that thing in my spirit. From that day, fear left me. And when the baby came out and she was placed on my belly, then I remembered that word that I heard that night lying on the floor in my hall. that your delivery would be swift and easy. And I began to praise. I didn't care that I was in the labor ward, that there were witnesses. I burst out into pure worship and gratitude to God, that He is the one who says it and He does it. God says things and He does them. You can count on God any day. And so I delivered. There was nobody by me. I remember when Titus came back to the labor ward, maybe an hour or two later, and heard that he was shocked. He said, "Hey, now for no." And later he told me that he left because he felt sad. Titus knew my mom. My mom took care of their first child when they had him. And he was like, "Nah, I remembered your mom. And I felt sad that she had passed, because I knew that if she was alive, she would be here with you. And I couldn't hold back my tears. And that was why I left." And I laid there in the labor room for hours alone with my child. That day it had rained heavily and my brother wanted to come to the hospital. I told him that, "Look, it's raining so hard and you just came back from a program. Don't worry, don't come. I'm okay, my baby is okay. Let's wait out the rain. Let me get some sleep." And I left it at that. So later in the evening, when I had been taken to the ward, I was put in a side ward. I was with another nurse who had also just delivered. And I was alone with my child. And the nurse's mom and husband, they kept going and coming. And she was so happy. The whole family was happy. There were people around her. At a point, she turned to me and my baby and she said, "I know you. You are a doctor here in Kolimbo." I said, "Yes." "You even have 2 children." I said, "Yes, that is me." Then she said, "Why is nobody with you?" And I just smiled at her. Later that night, around 9 p.m., mind you, that whole day I had not eaten. So by 9 p.m., I was really hungry. I delivered around 3 in the afternoon. And I felt that, no, this hunger, I can't sleep with it. And when I was packing my things for the hospital, because I lived very close to the hospital and I had family, I was like, "Oh, if I deliver and I need food, my husband or my household will bring me food. So there's no need to pack any food. I didn't pack any snack. I didn't pack anything. Just the things for the delivery." And so around 9 p.m., I called my brother, Raymond. I said, "Raymond, I'm hungry. I have not eaten the whole day." He said, "Oh, really?" At that time, my brother was living in the same house with me and my husband. It was a temporary arrangement that he was living with us. He said, "Oh, really? Okay. What do you want to?" I said, "Oh, if I get kinky, I'll be fine." Me, kinky seller's daughter, all my deliveries, I had kinky either before or after the delivery. So Raymond came to Kolinkono, bought kinky and fish. He brought it to me. I remember so well. It was tied up in a black takeaway bag. And when he brought it, I did not even have a plate to put the food in to eat. So I went to ask the nurses on the ward, "Please, can you lend me a plate?" So they gave me a plate. I put the food in. And that was what I ate: kinky and pepper and fish. Married doctor who had just delivered a beautiful baby girl. So the next morning, they discharged me because it was a spontaneous vaginal delivery. There was no issues. When they discharged me, I told them that, "You know what? I'm going to pay all my bills today. But I don't want to go home yet. Can I stay till tomorrow?" They said, "Why not? You can." And my house was just 15 minutes away. But I was not ready to go back to the pain. Here I was, I had delivered. You know, the birth of a child is one of the best things that could ever happen to any family. And it is a joyous occasion. There are times when there'll be so much problem in a marriage or family. But at the birth of a new life, everything is buried for the joy of the gift of a new child. Every malice, every quarrel, everything else pales into the background as the celebration of a new birth. And here I had endured years of a horrible marriage. I had delivered a beautiful baby girl, and my husband did not show up. And so the next day when I was discharged, I could not imagine walking back into that pain. And that was why I told them, can I stay here for one more night? Because I needed to think, I needed to decide what I was going to do. If I was going to go back to that house that was full of sad, painful memories, I needed to psych myself up for it. And so that Sunday morning when I was discharged after the delivery, I left my baby with the nurses. I went downstairs. I went to all the different places where I had to pay my bills. I settled all my bills. Then I came back. And eventually I went back to my matrimonial home. I went back to that place of pain and shame. Although I knew that it was not a good place for me to go back to. I knew that this marriage was one that had run its course. Like there was nothing there for me as a woman and as a human being. But at the time, I did not have any other options. I was working, I was making money, I was the one taking care of everything in my house and my own family members. But I had not made a plan. I did not have anywhere else to live. One auntie offered for me to move in with her, but her house was so far away, and I worried for my kids because I could not leave the two young ones with him. I was worried they were not on vacation, they had to be going to school. And so I went back. Some things would happen in your marriage, and those things should be able to speak to you to let you know that this marriage has run its course. This marriage has ended. Why do we hold on to things that have died? Why? I've been there before. And we hold on to things that are dead and think that the more we sacrifice, the longer we stay, it is going to change. My sister, my brother, there are some signs when you see them, you should know that this is over. And sometimes our family members do not tell us the truth. I don't know why they do that. And yet they'll blackmail you into staying. And a lot of women are slowly dying because the people around them who are supposed to protect them and tell them the truth are not doing so. I pray that every woman would get people around them who would love them enough, not to make decisions for them, but to point out to them the dangers and the red flags. The least you can do to any woman going through a shitty marriage, any man going through a terrible time in marriage, is to open their eyes to the obvious. Because sometimes when you are there, you don't see well enough. You don't. And this time when I went back to that abusive marriage, I swallowed my pride and stayed for 3 more years before I finally walked out. But in that 3 years, I planned, I continued my life, I advanced my career, I went back to school, I went to Canada, I did a second fellowship. My life did not stop. I started a business. And finally, when I walked out, I had finished the house I was going to live in with my had finished, at least it was habitable. I had started a small business and I still had my career. Don't stay there and die. Make a plan, work hard, sleepless nights, whatever you have to do to get out of that shitty hole of an abusive marriage, you need to do it, girl. Nobody is going to come and save you. Even your own family members, some of them are happy that you are in a terrible marriage. Your friends, some of them are happy because they know that if you leave that place, there's no limit to who you can become and what you can do. Open your eyes. If there's no love there, you can't create love into existence. You can't create love by loving the person. You can't put something on nothing.